Hello, my name is Chris Brauckley, and I've lived and worked in the Bay of Plenty region for around 3.5 decades now. And we've worked in the architectural building industry, both locally and internationally during that time. A lot of our work centers on three basic concepts: design excellence, structural excellence, and the fact that we can solve our problems by thinking more globally rather than just locally. For instance, the three building systems that we use, one comes from Germany. The Ziegel clay block system has been around for over 150 years. Now, these blocks are incredible because they're both the structure and the cladding and the insulation, but they also have other properties because they're just pure clay. They have thermal mass, which means they don't change temperature by more than about 3 degrees between the middle of summer and the middle of winter, giving them this equilibrium, which is extremely sustainable, energy-saving, and very comfortable to live in. So our next, more economical product, autoclaved concrete, has been around New Zealand for quite a long time now. It's been around the world for around 100 years now. We're actually sourcing that now out of Turkey, and we're getting much better economics doing that. And we only bring it in per job. We don't stockpile it here in the country. We bring everything in as required for each project, which actually makes everything a lot more economical. And the third system that we use for design and build, of course, is the intermodal container. Interestingly, intermodal simply means it can travel by ship, train, truck. It can be lifted by crane, forklift, and it was actually developed during the Vietnam War for getting munitions into Saigon. But it's now become basically, this, after the internet, the most important network on this planet, because everything we buy and sell, everything we export and import, is pretty much through containers. We also have one of the best ports in the world right next to us here in the Tauranga region. The arena went aground, and it gave us an incredible demonstration of the strength of the shipping container. What you're seeing here is around 150 to 200 tons being supported by just 2 bolts. And this is strength beyond anything we know in the residential structural industry. The containers underneath that are being crushed, those are reefers. Refrigerated containers are made with styrofoam and aluminum sheet. Basically, all the containers on the planet are usually made in China, except for our factory in Vietnam, which again, it's a specialized container. It's not just a shipping container. But it's interesting because they're all made under the International Standards Organization, which means there's no cheap, tacky version of a container. They all must be made to a very stringent quality control, and they have to have a license to travel on the ocean. The CSC license means it can handle around 100-something tons stacked on top of it. It can handle extreme racking loads and other pressures. So containers, by their very design, can stack and span and cantilever basically for free. That's all engineered into the structural qualities of the container, which architecturally gives us huge advantages. In fact, one of the inspectors that was recently here in our yard inspecting some of the projects going up to Waiheke Island and Waihi Beach has just purchased a 3-story container from us, and he's a building inspector. He looked at all the options, and because he's building on a 20-degree slope, he will save between $100,000 and $200,000 because of what containers can give him in terms of the strength of the engineering. So our very first container home was built in the Bay of Plenty about 12 years ago. And the inside is all hardwood bamboo and hand-woven grass. The second container home that we built was actually on Lake Rotoiti, and it's part of a holiday park. It's the owner's residence. But after working in this way for some time, we finally came to the critical point that we realized it was just getting too expensive to build these in New Zealand. We could not make them affordable. Interestingly, we did do several projects in very difficult situations like the tropical islands. We had to basically design and build a disaster-resistant house. This house had to be resistant to earthquake, hurricane, burglars, because that is a problem, termites, water, and fire. And then we made this project here for the council, Western Bay District Council. And what happened was the losing team at a rugby game smashed up Bay Park Stadium quite badly. And so the council said to us, it not only has to be disaster resistant, it has to be loser resistant. It has to be so that if people want to break the walls, they just can't do it. And it's just interesting that, I mean, you can imagine if you owned a rental home that you would want to make sure it was pretty much indestructible. So with our design excellence, structural excellence, and networking focus, we finally found that we had to put this network together between Vietnam, Japan, Korea, and China, where we source everything from these countries. It's assembled in Vietnam. Everything comes together in Vietnam. But then it comes to New Zealand, where we actually install the doors and windows, which are sourced separately. So the very first houses we built were actually built in China before we had our Vietnamese base. And these were not hacked up containers. They were built from the ground up to be an actual house, with the doors and windows all engineered into them, the portals strengthened for those open spaces. And I mean, this is a very successful project. I built 4 houses in the first wave. One of them is in Rotorua right now on Lake Rotowiti. And this is the house that you just saw in China, now being landed on its footings on Lake Rotowiti. And it's a very successful project. Interestingly, our focus with our very top-end houses is what we call integrated cabinetry. Again, no particle board, no custom wood is ever allowed in our homes at all. From the top end to the bottom end, those are our strict rules. So we used hardwood 18 mil plywood, and there was a lot of integrated cabinetry. The bedrooms, the hallways, everywhere we went in the house, we made storage solutions. But to bring this into affordable housing is quite a revolutionary move, and it only works by this global sourcing. We also source doors and windows from a German system, which are far superior to anything available in this country. The insect screens you see here are actually full security screens, stainless steel. The roof system is a big part of our building system. So the gutters, downpipes, the whole system is MIG welded. There's no rivets, there's no screws. The entire system is hurricane proof, and it's there for a permanent construction. And so the idea here that we're going for is that affordable housing can be of an excellent quality. It also can be beautiful. And this is a very important theory. See, we know that people have constructed housing projects all over the world that have produced absolute disasters in terms of the cultural impact on society. They've produced areas where the police won't even go in there because they're just so negative. Now, if they can create a negative environment like that, surely we can create a positive environment. So a lot of our work is to bring in design excellence, structural excellence, and then focus on how to make, if you want to use the term, a happy, a positive, an inspiring community of houses. And we're hoping also to not do duplicate houses in rows, but to actually create a random structural overall feel with 1, 2, 3 bedroom houses intermingled in a way that is much more natural. So there's huge potential behind this philosophy, and we've been doing this for some decades now very successfully. So please let me know how I can be of help, and I look forward to meeting. Thank you very much.